This album has a deathly pallor, and it's certainly worthy of a 5-disc set. But is it any good? Let's find out, shall we? Welcome classic rock fans and welcome Patreons to a review of Bob Dylan's Fragments. These are the Time Out of Mind sessions. And Time Out of Mind, what an album that was, absolutely fabulous. I think it's fair to say that between 96 and 97, Bob Dylan, meditating on mortality, wrote 11 of the most profound poetic laments in the American songbook. These numbers ache with longing, or what Jack Kerouac would call the forlorn rags of growing old. And these songs definitely demonstrated Dylan's continuing cultural relevance, especially after what some might perceive as a bit of a patchy period. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, of course, just going from the top of the old head, I think this album came out not that long after the Oh Mercy album. The Oh Mercy album was a real return to form as far as I'm concerned. Fabulous album. Had that wonderful song on it, The Man in the Long Black Coat, which was covered quite beautifully by Joan Osborne, if I cast your amnesia back that far. But I actually saw Dylan on the Oh Mercy tour. I saw him on that tour, and the only thing I remember of the concert at the Hammersmith Odeon, as it was then, was him doing All Along the Watchtower, Gates of Eden, and I think Lonesome Death of Poor Hattie Carroll as well. But the real catalyst for this album was Dylan meditating on the loss of Jerry Garcia, who died aged 53 from a heart attack in 1995, I believe. Of course, I think this hit Dylan quite hard, as he was quite pally with Jerry Garcia, and, of course, Dylan and the Dead, they toured together. There's even a live album out there. But what's fascinating about this album is the new mix. It's been stripped down to its bare spectral essence. Lets us experience the melancholy of the message, all communicated by Dylan's raspy and nuanced phrasing, which exudes a new authenticity with this mix. The songs have been remixed and scrubbed, and it's been a long time since I've heard the original album, but I absolutely love the way they sound on this one. It certainly casts fresh shadows, shall we say, and as we submerge ourselves in the mood and the moment that was this album. This essentially was an exploration of mood and Dylan's single-handed pursuit of it. The making of this record was drawn out and protracted and quite difficult, I think. I think Dylan strikes me as a difficult bugger to work with. But the songs and their dour shadows continue to cast themselves long after the record is finished. Producer, of course, Daniel Lanois accentuates the gloom on this album and submerges the album in a damp chill of sort of icy stabs, especially the wonderful Lovesick at the beginning. There is an extensive use of effects pedals and reverb, which gives it an otherworldly feel. Almost as if his Bobness is speaking to us from beyond the veil, so to speak. What is interesting on this album is this sense of dislocation, this eerie sense of fragmentation, which is perfectly represented in the instrumentation of the songs. The guitar lines always seem to be on the verge of wandering entirely out of sync, and the bass and drums add a destabilising, soupy feel to the music. Everything achieving a kind of a spacious quality. There's no doubt that death hangs over this record like a pall. In terms of the discs, I mean, disc 1, we get that stripped back version of the album, a new mix of the album, which is quite brutal. Brilliant, but quite brutal nonetheless. Disc 2 is outtakes and alternate mixes, the highlights being the opening track, The Water is Wide, beautiful song. And it's fascinating to listen to the evolution of Lovesick as well, which we get on the second disc of this. And Trying to Get to Heaven, I love that song. What a beautiful refrain in this song. Just when you think you've lost everything, you can always lose a little more. Disc 3 is the same, it's outtakes and highlights. The best song on there is Not Dark Yet, version 2. And disc 4 is live, love the version of Standing in the Doorway on this one. And disc 5 is a bonus disc of Odds and Sods. With the main highlight, they're all highlights really, but the standout track for me is the live version of Cold Irons Bound. So this is the item itself. These Dylan Bootleg Series are a remarkable quality. I don't have that many of them really because they're just too damned expensive, but this one was a must for me as well. And that's the rear. And they slot out like this. The first is first is the actual book, which you get with that. Bootleg Series Volume 17. I'm interested to know how many more of these there can be. I'd love to, I wonder if they could mine some of the stuff from sort of the Desire album. I wonder if there's any outtakes and stuff from Desire, and some of the stuff he did in the late 70s up to the Street Legal album. I don't know what there is available. Beautiful pictures. As I said, these Dylan Bootleg Series are absolutely incredible quality, but you do pay for it. There's his Bobness in the studio. Lots of textual information from Dylan archivists, Dylanologists, if you like. I'm not showing you all the pictures, I'm just showing you a few of them. That's a great picture. Great portrait of his Bobness there. But Time Out of Mind is generally considered a remarkable return to form, where his voice had completely altered, I think, from the 70s anyway. And then we get all the stuff about posters and single releases. Lots and lots of stuff. And, you know, the attention to detail is absolutely fabulous with these things. And the discs themselves are housed in this wonderful little wallet. Disc 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we are, that's Dylan, the Fragments Time Out of Mind sessions. As I said, it includes a complete remix of that wonderful, wonderful album. This, of course, is Dylan, the Bootleg Series, Volume 17. And there we go. Anyway, let me know if you're a fan of the Time Out of Mind album, if you're a fan of those sessions. Always lovely to hear from you. I'll just leave it there anyway. Hope you're well, staying safe, and of course that you keep listening.